You are listening to Word2Wordz, the podcast where two poets come together to share their love for words and those who use them creatively. Before we start, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and follow us on IG, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Word2Wordz. That's WORD number 2 WORDZ, so you never miss a word from us. Now, let's begin the show.
Hello, I'm Tony Two Eyes, the entrepreneur poet.
And I'm Dara Kalima, the community poet, and this is Word2Wordz. And we are back with another episode of the Poet's Favorite Podcast. Thank you all for being here today. We are back for another episode. It is November. We made it.
Feeling good.
Episode 6,
the end of the year. Woo! We have episode 6 now. That's a half of a year. We have been doing this for 6 months. Come on now.
Strong.
That's amazing. I'm feeling good. We were joking before this, so you're gonna have to mind it. If jokes come out, it's just a spillover from what happened before.
It's gonna be his
fault. So, but you know how we start off every show. It's called Word2Wordz because we're gonna start off with the word, and that's gonna lead us to other words. So our word of the day is commensurate. Commensurate, and it means corresponding in size or degree in portions.
In proportion.
In proportion. Sorry, it was cut off. So, for example, salary will be commensurate with experience. So that was kind of their definition. I think we want to use this word in our own sentence. So go ahead.
Oh, I don't think I have an answer because my level of anger this week is not commensurate with the level of rage that really should be shared.
Okay. So I'll say that success is commensurate of how much work you put in to what you're doing. The more you put in, the more you get at the end. Life is a machine. It gives you what you put in.
Does it
sometimes it has that little.
You
know the little bonus. You know the little bonus ones when you at the machine and you put the quarter in, and 2 fall out instead of just 1. And then sometimes life is like that machine too, and it gets stuck. It's like, hold on, I put my quarter in, but where is the bag of chips? So sometimes life is not always commensurate. But my example was needed to just use it in a sentence. So that's the word. Now let's move on to the next topic. Hold on. I need to use my 2 eyes to see who do we see?
So this is always my favorite part of the episode. I keep saying it like a week, like we were just here. But
I think that means we need to move it to a week.
We will get no other work done in life if we do nothing that. Other. We will end every other adventure that we're in together just to do this. So last week, for those of you who do not know, in addition to the millions of things I do with Tony Two Eyes, I am also a part of Kevin Powell's writing workshop. So he started that also during the pandemic. He started, I think, in the fall of last year in 2020. And so this is his third grouping of times in which we've met. And so this time around, he's brought in his friends and his BFFs in the writing community to share and talk with us about their experience as writers, their journeys, and all of that such. And last week, and I've been just stuck on the words of this writer who in January I had the pleasure of being on the screen with. So I had the pleasure. I was one of the poets. I was one of the editors for the poets section of the book 2020, The Year That Changed America. And so when this person submitted, I was one of the poets who got to edit this living legends work of this poem that they submitted. But additionally, when we actually got to do this book launch celebrating the book, it was this poet, it was Tim Wise, which is like, it's Tim Wise, what? And then it was me. So at one point, the three of us were on the screen together, and I shared a virtual performance space with this poet. So we're going to talk about, just for a brief moment, the poet that we see today, Nikki Giovanni. Queen Nikki Giovanni. Okay, we can talk about how so dope, amazing, and just like what Nikki G, like I just like what? That's like what?
It's just words.
I mean, seriously, you had to just be there. You had to be there. So sorry for you if you weren't there. But if you weren't there, here's the thing. Kevin Powell is doing these events for free. So if you're a member of the Kevin Powell's Writing Workshop on Facebook, you can actually go watch the video from, I don't know if it's been put up yet, but it will be put up if it isn't up yet. Go to the workshop and go watch what she shared with us, because my goodness. So Nikki Giovanni is from Knoxville, Tennessee. She's actually a junior. Her birth name is actually her mom's name. And it was only about 15 years ago that she legally changed her name to Nikki Giovanni, only because everyone was calling her that. And you know, when you start using these two different names, all these legal documents that go around and how people pay you gets very messy. So she finally changed it to Nikki, but she also only did it after her mom passed, because she didn't want her mom to think that she didn't want her mom's name. She actually really liked having her mom's name. So Nikki Giovanni, at one point had gotten kicked out of school in college, but she was hanging out, like she came of age with Emmett Till in the background. Like she was a teen when that all went down, essentially. And then, as you know, I can't remember what store it was, and I wrote these notes down, and I'm gonna try to see if I can find them. It was like, oh, the Greensboro Four. Is the Greensboro Four were integrating restaurant counters. This was the background of her being in college, you know? So these are the things that were like actually integral in her development and her growth at that time. So as these things were happening monumentally in time, she's writing during all of this. And there were some gems that she dropped for us. Some of which was, and she also has a bat named after her. Random weird fact. She has a bat named after her. A species of bat is named after Nikki Giovanni. Just letting you know. It is a fact. I see your face.
That's weird. Okay.
So Nikki Giovanni really is a science reader. She's a science reader. She's a nonfiction reader. She is not a fiction reader. She loves science. She loves all that techie weird stuff. So, and she's a big football fan too. So she's a huge football fan. So she was just like, she being a science person, somehow someone found a new species of bat and decided they would name it after her because of her love for science and such. So there's a bat named after her. But anyway, so she was leaving a bunch of jewels. Yes. I know you're still making these faces at me, Tony. Stop making these faces.
I'm just reading about it. I was like, what? But that's awesome. See, poetry can lead you in strange places.
Exactly. So she went to Fisk University. She like something was going on in her family. I believe she went home and stayed at her family home when one of her relatives was sick for a while. And that, plus some of her grades at some point, led her to sort of being kicked out. So John Lewis and company were also at Fisk, but they left to go do all the marching. So she didn't leave with them, and she tried to go back, didn't work out because of everything, but she ended up pivoting elsewhere. She ended up being in New York. She actually self-published her first book back in the days when self-publishing was a lot cheaper than it is now. So she paid a guy $100 for 100 books, went out on the street and sold. She did the street hustle, selling a book for $1. So she just broke even for the first round. And then because the plates were made, he would sell it to her for $50 for $100. So she was making $50 for every $100, every 100 books she was selling. But she said some stuff, and we go into these dreams about, I wrote these books and I'm gonna be famous, I'm gonna be rich, right? And she goes, she said, if you say you will be a poet, you will never have any money, but your ears will. It's literally what she said. She was very clear. And then she was also like, and she said something that was also real, because I know a lot of us are on the hustle, and this may feed into some of what I'll talk about later, but she was saying that you will not get paid every time you open your mouth. And if you think you will, you're crazy. So I think we tend to want to monetize everything we do, but we also have to be very real that that's also not realistic. Some things we're going to have to do for free. We have to decide what's the free thing and what's not the free thing. We have to know when we're charging, when we're not charging. We have to know what we're willing to charge, what we're willing to not charge for, and what the opportunity is that we're getting benefits from. There's some performances, just getting your picture taken is worth it. You know, because some places will have your picture all over the place, and oops, there you go. You're doing the thing in front of a mic that looks amazing, you know, and that's enough. And sometimes, but other times, like when it's a place that you know they're making bank, then you need to be making bank off of that too. So you need to know sort of when you're going to make money. And you also have to be realistic about the business of this all. Those promoters are in business. The places in which they're performing are in business. And also, like, if you're giving back to people, if you're giving back to the schools, if you're giving back to whatever, you got to also, in some ways, expect that not every place is going to be able to pay you properly. But if you go into a private school, you better get that money because they got the money. But if you go into the public school, understand they may not necessarily have the money. If you go into a public school in New York City versus a public school in some of those other counties that actually have money too. So, know where the money is and play the game appropriately. So when she did her first book launch story is hilarious. She did her first book launch. She did it at the Birdland here in New York. Back then, like, clubs and stuff were not open on Sundays. So she got but like book readings could be. So she was having a book reading at Birdland with this guy who apparently looked like a mafia person. She made an agreement with him that if she got 100 people, she didn't have to pay anything. If she got 99 people or lower, she owed this man $500. And so she shook a deal with him. And then she went and did what every poet has to do, is tell everybody that you're doing this thing. So Morgan Freeman was her neighbor. Nina Simone was her good friend. She went to everybody and got everybody. So Nina Simone didn't sing, but Nina Simone did show up and support her homegirl. So one, even though I think I've said it here, but I've definitely put on my Facebook wall that your artist friends are not your network, right? Like, those are not the people you can rely on to come for you, because they also got their own hustle that they got to do. Also, support your artist friends. If you're an artist and your friend is doing something and you're free that night, show up and come through, because they need you. But as an artist, you shouldn't always necessarily depend on your network being fellow artists. So you got to play this game both ways. Your friends, your family, your coworkers, you got to get them on board. You need to pick up new people as you perform places. But simultaneously, as an artist, you really should be supporting other people, because you don't know who's going to be talking about you when you're not there. When things went down for me this week, there were other artists who had my back. And there was other artists from different groups of art who were like, we got you, sis. So you need to, and people were like, I know you talk about me in good ways, so that's why you got my loyalty. You know what I mean? So you need to show up for the people, because that's how you move in this community. But also, like, you got to play both stuff. So Nikki was super dope. She does not like Donald Trump. She took every chance possible to say she don't like Donald Trump. Every chance possible. She gave us a million gems. I wish I could tell you what they were. But she also said, everyone should be allow themselves to cry. She was very much about the vulnerabilities. So give her a chance, the opportunity to be sad. She says she's never trusted any president that doesn't have a dog. There's not a leader in the Western world who doesn't have a dog. That was again her point about our former president.
Oh man.
And she said something that we all know, which is really sad, but we also, Kevin Powell, props to Kevin Powell for calling this out. She said great writers are never great until they're dead. The writers we recognize as great is when they are dead. If I ever get to be anything culturally significant, it will be when I'm long gone, which is always true, but also not true, because Nikki Giovanni is here. Sonia Sanchez is here, and we are, at least those of us who know who they are giving them flowers right now, because we know that they are legends and they are still doing the daggone thing. So look to our elders. I mean, we're still going to spotlight current people, younger people too, but like, while Nikki is here, I wanted to make sure that she knew that we see her, because everyone was like, oh my gosh, that night was amazing. And it really was.
Well,
so we see you, Nikki Giovanni.
We see you. We see you.
Yeah, it was really
so dope. while we're working on getting to that level and getting recognized, we have to contribute our part as poets to this thing called poetry. So who's first, me or you?
I don't remember anymore. I don't know.
I went first on the first one. Is it right to just say that anytime you started off, then it's your go? Or
I feel like it was, you went on your birthday. What number was that? That was September. No, it's an odd number, so it's your turn.
Okay.
Because September.
Well, that settles it.
Wait, wait. September. Your birthday's, that was August. That's an even month. It is my turn.
Okay.
Apparently.
There we go. So anytime she starts off first.
Oh wait, no, you went first.
Yes.
So the odd number. Okay, you're right.
Hold on. Yeah, this is an even number coming up. Yeah.
No, it's not the even. If we did it in an even number, you went first, I went last because it was your birthday. So in theory, flip-flopping, it should be me. Whatever, we'll figure it out. I'll go first.
You'll just tell me when to go. Huh? Just tell me when to go.
Yeah, you'll go next.
You got an algorithm that only you and Instagram know how to figure it out.
We'll go back to the tapes, whatever. It doesn't matter.
I carry the 2,
so
add the A.
I know we don't usually talk about anything. I'm just going to say,
forgive me. No, you're not.
I know, but this is a poem from oh my gosh, this is literally a poem from 20 years ago. 20 years ago. You're fine. She's fine. Shivers running down my spine. Do I do it? I don't know. Maybe in time the answer will show, but I am intrigued by the thought of 3 bodies interweaved. Pleasure will be the agenda of the day, but will everything flow in the right way? There are still some things I need to be taught. So what experience could I have brought? What made y'all think of choosing me? Do y'all think I would be easy? I am still not completely sure about having some fun behind a closed door, but I must admit, I am intrigued by the thought of 3 bodies interweaved. Where do you plan to get the scene started? Though it won't really matter when the legs are parted. Hotel, motel, car, or bus, nothing can stop us from this act of lust. Anywhere that the 3 of us will be filled with steam, too foggy to see. I can taste now how great it will be. Great is the thoughts of 3 interweaved. Yet there are still a few problems with this plan. All I know about her is that you are her man. You sent her a picture, so I know what she looks like, but does she think like a femme or think like a dyke? And what if we do not even get along? Then everything will certainly go wrong. But looking at her, I'm still intrigued by the thought of 3 bodies interweaved. And look at how slick you are, romancing my heart, knowing that was all you wanted from Jumpstart. You knew that for you, my heart was soft. You used that to try to get me into your loft, letting me think that I was your world by scheming to get me to join you and your girl. Though disappointed, I'm still intrigued by the thought of three bodies interweaved. And what about your expectations of me? And what if I leave you both displeased? What if I am too round for your pleasure, or I do the wrong thing with that feather? Remember, I am still a novice at this. Frustration with me may make you miss bliss. And what if later you can't view me the same? What if your thoughts of me are only of shame? Though timid and shy, insecure and unsure, in my mind, I imagine me begging for more. So there is no doubt that I am still intrigued by the thoughts of three bodies deeply interweaved. And what about a sexually transmitted disease? You've sailed the world, I've sailed one sea. Condoms and dams laying on the nightstand will only enhance the fun that we have planned. But if you protest and want to say no, I guarantee I will be a no-show. But even putting all of that aside, there is still one thought that still resides, that I am most definitely intrigued by the thought of three bodies tightly interweaved.
Like acidic rain, the tears accumulated in cumulus eyelids for years are phonetically strained and collected from sections of my brains and emotions to be dissected by my peers, persistently piercing and slicing me like a scalpel's incisions, the verdicts and decisions of whether each letter or word observed or heard is valuable or just babble that glistens. See, constantly this overshadows me down until marrow deep as their Bibles rival with every discovery I've willed. I religiously build literary monuments from remnants of my previous experience, extracted to socially construct structures that tower over my poetry. Like architecture within the Big Apple, people gigabyte pieces out of my texture with casual judgments, critiques, and lectures, analyze and process my pleasures and painful realities, dreaming but can't keep my two eyes closed like lights beaming in windows deprived from relentless restlessness, derived in agony, practically neglected in between folded clothes. I'm soaked by a hose connected to my pulmonary valve and artery, while my heart beats out loudly, constant sounds of me breathing makes rhythm and blues tunes that are selected like eclectic vocabulary. My words are projected with a mission to make them dance to the beat of my existence. I'm born to be scorned, indifferent, free to grow restricted while they dance freely and listen to the gift that I have been gifted with. This gift has been grafted and lifted out of my genetic sequence and is a composition that no orchestra possesses enough instruments to present in this inner body symphonic experience, which is positioned within a canvas lacking the square footages to capture the entire scenery internally seen in me after I labor as a slave to my audience, applauding from word plays and quotes that vibrate from my throat. It is the fate of exposing what I wrote. And although it is supposed to motivate, resonate, and engrave impactful content packed with woes from my conscience, so I know that confidence is just a consequence of fear and a lack of common sense. So I go to and fro, although my soul remains cold and shivering. I am releasing bad energy with a goal to one day be warmed by conjoined positivity, but that's just one of many possibilities that are extracted from endless infinities, a concept captured in my vanities, driven by my mind from insanity and the tendencies of actually being subjected to lines on a page and confined by blind symmetry. I'm enslaved to entertain and behave in ways so my expression can be used as a tool to view my views as confessions, not rage, to see them from the same perspective as they were made with effortless pain that I was left with, strange and breathless, are the things that remain for me to put breath in and give life to my own oppression. My creativity is free, unlike me, who is chained to his obsession of mastering pieces, piece by piece, but instead each piece never ceases to master me. Constantly, I am taken into bondage as I am wondering how my artistry turned from creativity into slavery, liberating everyone else that hears it, except for me. Thank you.
Woo.
Wow, I haven't visited that poem in a while.
Did
But
we
you and
both
your
have
little
flash-
tangle,
Huh?
you and your little tangle.
What do you mean? I mean, that was
We said that that was not erotic.
was it?
How was that not just the content of intertwined bodies? We're talking about a three-way interaction. Is just erotic in nature.
I mean,
I don't care if you say we were walking down the street holding hands, three bodies. That's erotic.
I mean,
Like how hard, how tight were you gripping the hand? Like, and were y'all skipping or were y'all twisting?
Sure. Okay. My bad. Maybe I misidentified what that poem was. It wasn't like I'm going to seduce you erotic type of poem. It wasn't like that type of erotic.
It wasn't towards anyone, but it
No,
was talking about an erotic encounter or an erotic scene.
It was talking about a proposition to join a couple in an erotic moment or a private, intimate engagement between
that is a
three
good
people.
segue to go to what's inspiring our pen. So, because I would like to know what was inspiring. But I'm just kidding. That's a long story in the past. So
it's a really short story at this point. But you never heard that poem before?
No, you did tell me, but I was just
okay.
I wrote
that in ecology class. I don't know what we were learning about that day, but that poem was written in one sitting by pen and paper in an ecology class 20 years ago, 20 years and like 10 months ago.
She's blending math with ecology. She's multiplying, cubing. She's multiplying by threes. And she's supposed to be learning about the ecosystem. Look at her. She's trying to change ecosystems.
We're not even talking about that.
The social ecosystems that we know.
So Tony, what is inspiring your pen?
Oh man, what's inspiring my pen? Time.
Do tell some more.
Time. You never have enough of it. And then when you do have enough of it, it goes so quickly. So I'm talking about my vacation I just took. Time. Like I'm still recovering. Not recovering as in it was so hard on me and I was so stressed. Nothing like that. It's like I'm recovering to try to get back to what I was before I took the vacation. And it made me think about time. I jotted down a few things, but I I have a pen in my mind, so it's always working. You know, I could drop a poem right now if I wanted to about time, you know. So, but it was not only time, you know, like the time that we're in or TikTok time, but it was like presence that also was inspiring my pen as well. And I was on the beach. Um, for those that don't, because I didn't actually announce this last time, but I went to Jamaica for the first time,
And he
and I
left me.
was and I
He
left
left
her.
me. I just
I
want to put
did
that
leave
out
her.
there.
I tried to
He
get her
left
into a
me.
carry on, but they wouldn't allow me to do that. They said no human bodies, so
He didn't even try.
I
Just
had to leave
living.
her and a 6-ounce bottle of water behind because they wouldn't let me take anything more than 4 ounces. So she had to get off right there at security and go back home. But time, being present. I was in Jamaica and I was walking on the beach at night. I think Dawn was asleep, and there's no lights on the resort like near the beach or whatever. There's like a little light by the like an outside light by the room, but when you walk, you that light doesn't do anything. So the water is just pitch black. The sky, you don't know where the sky is because it's an island, so you don't see any skyline in the distance, you know. So it was like seamlessness between the waves and where the stars begin, and it was just like being there was I was in awe, and it was like, what were you about to ask?
Was this your first island?
This is my first island. Yes, I live in Florida, so I got if I went down,
No,
I
but
lived in
an
Florida,
island is still
so
different. Yeah.
it is. It is. But actually, I have been on an island, but it was one that was close to Florida, Anna Maria Island. But it wasn't. It's not like that. But being there, seeing that, and being present to notice that, you know, and I didn't have like my phone. You know, it only worked inside of the house, so I didn't have Instagram distracting me most of the time. I didn't have phone calls coming in most of the time, and so having a whole week of that type of experience where it wasn't worrying about the phone, that's what I'm trying to recover from. And it's like it's a bliss that you it's like, gosh, if I could just, if this could be life and I didn't have to worry about, you know, the hustle and bustle to try to make something great, you know, and I was already there. But it was also just the recognition of nature and the beauty of its this canvas, and just having that scene. And then the moon is full. I think it was full or partially full, or almost full, sorry, on most days. And everything, like the bushes had this white glow, even the people, you know. So it was like you don't need the lights, you know, you can't identify everything, but it was just like, what if I was lost on an island? Like I would still be okay. And then we were drinking from the coconuts, and, and it was like, yo, I could survive a good 2 weeks off of coconut meat and coconut water. Like, and it was just that connection with isolation or solitude, and just, yeah, just the beauty of existing.
Mm.
Yeah. When you get out all of the man-made stuff, when you get from around all the man-made stuff, and then you're actually, because we also climbed a waterfall, which was this is Dunn's River. And it was like I just climbed a freaking waterfall. Like the water was coming down. There was no animals in the waterfall or anything, but it was just like we were in the middle of of like a forest, and climbing a waterfall. The water is running, and just out there, just like roughing it up, Tarzan, like, you know. I felt real. And then we did river rafting, like going on the river too. That was also, it's like, yo, these people have been doing this rafting stuff, you know, not for tourism, but for a livelihood for a long time. And this is how they connected with nature. Yeah, it was time, something that you usually don't appreciate until you don't have a lot of it left. But you know, I always tell my like kids like that's trying to get old, like, no, appreciate this time where all you do is go to school, get off, and maybe some chores, you know, like enjoy that time, take what you can out of it, because once it's over, then it's over, you know.
The problem is that we're not designed that way. So we tell kids that,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't matter because that's boredom. You know, like like unless you are really training kids to be mindful,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have that appreciation. We didn't have that appreciation. Everyone else older than us told us that. We were rushing to be older. We were rushing to have liberties. We were rushing to, like,
Yeah.
we were bored if we weren't doing stuff because we needed to be stimulated, right? Like, it's almost a waste to tell them that. I'm not saying that you're wrong for telling them that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that at all. But it's just like, also, it's not something that's really properly appreciated because it's just unless you're in a place of like a practice of mindfulness, even if you're
Mm-hmm.
not really like in a like Buddhist mindfulness thing, right? Like if you're not doing a yoga thing, but if you're not in a place of like just really being aware of what's around you
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to go slow, and kids are not that. They're like they're
Yeah.
energizer bunnies. So as much as we want them to capture that and enjoy it,
That
that's
I
not their
didn't.
MO.
I didn't. I was told the same thing. I
Exactly.
didn't.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's almost a waste. We want them to do what we didn't do, but also like we don't teach them how to do that really either, you
But
know?
it is a, I think it's a cultural thing as well. A lot, some of it has to do with cultural, um, because I think this topic of time and presence is one of the important lessons to learn in life, and we don't actually, like, all of our rhetoric is all about the future. It's all about hustling. It's all about budget.
Yeah. That's what
So
I said.
we learn that. But if we actually were out in the wilderness, like if we had a culture that was like
That's what I said. We're
indigenous,
not teaching them that. So
yeah,
they can't appreciate it if we're not if we're always handing them something to not be bored, right? Like if they don't
yeah.
know that there's value in the time of just sitting there. Like we don't teach them to sit down and meditate unless like you're in the
Oh, I did.
okay, well
I,
you're a different
every
person.
morning
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were like, "I'm ready for school." Meditate. Like, what is meditate? Or read a
Mhm.
book. Meditate or read a book. That was the two options when you wake up and you got dressed and you're waiting on the parents. Meditate or read a book. And I taught them about meditation, about how you just think about things and you kind of clear your mind of everything that you were thinking about, and you can even envision things, envision what you want to do. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, there's all different types of meditation. But
there's
anyway, so
different type of
did you
meditation.
want to know what's inspiring my pen?
Of course, that's what we're moving on to. Go ahead. How you
um,
gonna ask that in the middle? Go ahead. Yes, I want to know what's inspiring your pen, Dara.
thank you, Tony. What's inspiring my pen? Nothing really. So the answer is just workshops. The workshops are Poetics University, which is how Tony and I met. And Tony's the founder of Poetics University, and I'm the vice president of it. So he's the president and founder, and I'm the vice president. I try to do all the workshops and all the classes. I've only not done one workshop so far in the existence of the workshop of the classes. So that's what's keeping me going. That's what's making me write. I
So that
actually
is
start.
something. I just want to make that clear
I know.
because you
I
said
didn't finish my
nothing, and I
statement.
and I feel really I
I didn't
feel really bad about that because
finish my
nothing and
statement.
poetics came in the same sentence.
Finish my statement, sir. Finish my statement. Answer my question. So I've been having a lot of this, Tony, personally. There's been this last week was a very tough mental health week for me. And then really that's the culmination of really 3 weeks of stuff, well 2 weeks prior to that, of things that were happening. And that was just the snowball effect and impact of it. So that said, if left to my devices, I probably wouldn't be writing because I'd probably be too buried in emotions and trying to find a way out. And I mean, writing also helps with that, but that's not always my default in those moments, in the moments where I've been lately. So my writing has really only been happening because of Poetics U and the courses that we've had, and really being present and listening to the different prompts out there, that are, and not just prompts, but motivation to write, you know. And I actually have to, that reminds me, I have to give somebody some questions as well to help them, to help guide them to some writing on their own too. But like those guiding questions, those guiding suggestions, those prompts, there's some thought about not using prompts because it has also its own connotation, but any of those things that provide motivation to write has been pushing my pen a little bit. So that's what's been inspiring me this week. Just being part of Poetics U, being part of a community that has us writing at all times. And really, when things went really bad last week, it was waking up. I had to take a nap because I was so undone that I had to take a nap. When I woke up, I was like, oh, well, I got to write this poem for the class. So I got to like put that thing aside for a moment and focus in on this poem. And so that has kept me to some extent grounded. It's been a community that's been holding me together, but it's having a responsibility to the class, is having a responsibility to my craft that has been inspiring my pen. So that's my answer. And so I'm sorry, you gonna say something? Continue.
No, I was just gonna say good. It's always good to attach to something that is, I always look at kind of the nature of church and congregation and stuff like that, and what that brings to people outside of just the religious part, but it brings community and the things that really tie us together as humans, and that is the structure of social interactions, and that's having people to depend on, having people that care about you, and having people that help push you to be better. And I think that's what we have created at Poetics University is a community that there's people that used to, when we when they were donating, when we had donations like as the only option, they were donating every week, and I and I thought about, like, that was like their tithes. They just they donated every week the same amount or whatever, and it didn't matter if they had a class or not. And I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah, and they were doing it to support the community of those who
yeah,
may not be able to afford what we were providing,
yeah.
or their way of appreciation. So, words of wisdom. I'm going to go back to what I just said a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Is what's inspiring your pen? Take a class. Take a class.
Enroll.
And I'm not. I mean, selfishly, of course, I'm gonna say take a Poetics U class, because we have classes when we have our term, and then we have specials when we're not in term, and then we also have like one-off workshops. So join us, because we also have something really dope coming up on December 13th with Brandon Leak, who's going to teach a class in collaboration with Black Authors Collaborative and 2i Publishing. But that's a whole nother thing. We'll talk about that later when we talk about the announcements. But I'm just putting that in there. But take a class, take a class, take a class, take a class, take a class. Because here's the thing. I had a post where I said I overheard a conversation on a train, and these kids on the train, or younger people on the train, maybe they were, one person may have been my same age, somebody was an adult, but the other people were not adults. And they were talking about tercets versus haikus. And it really depends. I will say the definition of a tercet, depending which definition you run into, is a 3-line stanza, which therefore includes a haiku, or a 3-line stanza that rhymes, since haiku traditionally does not rhyme, does not include a haiku. So if you're getting rid of but most people in common conversation now do not include the rhyming rule on a tercet, which means whatever, right? But I put this post out because I'm laughing as this conversation on the train is happening, because my little poet ears were like, people on a train talking about haikus and tercets.
I know, that's impressive.
Exactly. I was like,
for a New York train, that's what they're talking about.
I was like, who? What class are we in? What are we talking about? Let me listen. Let me eavesdrop on that one. And so I made a post about it, and then half the people were like, what? And I was like, okay, so this is why we have a problem in the poetry community.
Yeah.
And so take a class, and not just a generative writing class. Generative writing classes are amazing because they will make you write. If you can write under pressure, take a generative writing class. Generative writing classes are just like an hour of prompts. They will give you an image to work with. They'll give you a sound to work with. They'll give you a topic to work with. They'll give you something. They'll give you a topic, 5 minutes, such and such 5 minutes, such and such 10 minutes. And that's just, and you're writing. It's a generative writing class. So you are generating work out of the class. That's the whole point of a generative writing class, right? That's not going to teach you writing craft. That's going to get you writing stuff. So that's cool. If you're like in a slump, take a generative writing class. If you can handle the pressure of it, do, because I love taking them, because there's things that you wouldn't think about putting together to make you make something cool. So do it. But like tercets, quatrains, cinquains, sonnets, let's see, bops. Oh, there's all these words out there. Meter, iams,
Acrostic.
Well, I hope people know what an acrostic is, because they probably learned that in like 3rd grade. I hope you know what an acrostic is.
They probably don't know what that word is.
A is for apple.
You mean the one that got the letters down the side? Yeah.
So there's all these terms out there that are, and I don't know them all. Verse, stanza, refrains, like there's all these words that are part of the craft. And the more you know, the more you grow, the further you can go, the better conversation you can have, because you may be doing enjambments all through your poems, and then somebody comes to you and say you did an enjambment, you be like, what? And you may think you may be ready to slap somebody, and you don't know that you just cutting your lines in a certain way. Like, you need to know what an enjambment is. You need to know the difference between consonants and alliteration, even though alliteration is a part of consonants, but consonants is not alliteration. And assonance. Like there's all these things that exist, and we're not even gonna go to oronyms, which most of y'all are doing. Y'all are doing the heck out of oronyms, or y'all are sitting here doing homophones and stuff. But do you remember homophones? Even though you be using them, or homonyms, like do you remember these things?
Take a class.
Do you know why you use dashes? I don't know why we use dashes either. I'm still trying to learn those. Still trying to get a handle on the dashes. I'm gonna own that one, right? But like, there's these things that exist in grammar and in poetry, and you sound a million times more impressive when you can say the word tercet, or you can say the word cinquain, or you can say quatrain, or you can just say stanza and know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And not sound like you just any other average poet. And the thing is, I was listening, it was brilliant. I was listening to Hattress's The Poetry Podcast. And I don't think it was Hattress. It was their guest. They had a guest on one of the episodes. Like, I don't think it was the last episode, because I don't think I finished the episode. But like, their guest was on it, and their guest was talking about how they didn't know poetic theory. So it's not just knowing poems. It's like, what is even the poem supposed to be doing? There's a reason why that book, and I'm gonna have to look it up real quickly. It's like love letters to my assassins or something like that. I always say the name of this book wrong, but it's a sonnet book. Oh gosh, I'm gonna mess this up. And I'm trying to Google it right now, and I'm doing a bad job of this, but y'all are gonna forgive me for a second, because I'm gonna get this right for y'all. I really want y'all to know this name of the book. Of course, I'm getting Assassin's Creed, because why would I ever not? Why would I get what I'm looking for?
Keyword assassin. Yes.
You know?
Gonna get Assassin's Creed.
Of
May
course,
even
I'm like,
get
going to fail this. I should have thought about this. I'm thinking about it as I'm writing this, right? And I have it, but I haven't gotten to read it, and I'm not gonna get up from my seat and just go find this book right now. But it's like, and I told you about this before. It's even it's in our chat and everything. Because he performed while we were at the New York Poetry Festival.
I remember that. Yeah. I don't think
Um,
assassin was in the
it
word.
is.
I don't think assassin. Maybe assess.
No, assassin is in it. It's a I can't spell assassin. I'm doing a bad job right now. Oh goodness, help me out. How do you even spell assassin? I'm giving a lesson.
S. It's like Mississippi. ASSASSIN.
I'm going to find this book. Before this episode is over, I'm going to tell you, or it's going to be in the comments tied to this book.
American Sonnet for Past and Future.
Yes,
Assassin.
there we go. That's the book. Thank you. I told you Assassins was in the name of it. American Sonnets for what was it? My Past and Future Assassin.
Yes, my Past and Future Assassin.
So, just think about this. Think about the title of that book, right? It is a book titled American Sonnets for My Past and Future Assassins. Do you know what a sonnet is traditionally? Sonnets are love poems. So just take that title apart. Like, just don't, like, you may originally ignore a sonnet because you're like, a sonnet is like Shakespeare, I'm done. But the essence of a sonnet is that it's a love poem. It's a love poem with a spin on it. So this man is writing an American love poem for his past and future assassins. Just sit there with that and think about what he's doing. You don't have to read the book. Just think about, you have to read the book, but don't even, just think about what he's doing, playing with sonnets in a way, because Terrence Hayes knows what the concept of what a sonnet is supposed to do, and then he plays with that. That's actually what Scott Raven does too. He does sonnets with a T because his name is Scott, and so he loves writing sonnets. So he does sonnets, but a lot of his sonnets are actually political too. But it often like love letters to America, asking America to do better. But you have to understand what that thing is doing. Like, what is that tool you're using supposed to do? So when I teach a poetics form class, I don't just say go write a pantoum and this is what the pattern is. I say it is a Malaysian form. Go figure out what the essence of it was. When I say go do a Shadorma was a musical form, I believe, because there's too many forms in my head now. Go figure that out. When I say go write a bop, well, a bop is out of the blues, music blues feel. So what does blues music do? It ain't a happy thing, otherwise it wouldn't be called blues. You know what I mean? Like, you have to know, like, take a poetry class and understand what poetry is doing. When we write haikus, we write all of these 575 poems, but do we even understand that what the 575 essence is supposed to do? Do we understand that haiku is supposed to be about nature? We let that go a long time ago, half of the time, right? Fine. When I started writing haikus in my books, they're not about nature because I didn't understand what a haiku was. There's actually there's a feeling to a good haiku. There's a twist, something that is in a haiku. A good haiku makes you feel something, whether it's humor, whether it's like, I didn't think about that. In those 17 syllables, your life changes really quickly. But you got to understand what a haiku is. You're just not writing 17 syllables and putting them in and be like, I was clever. So take a freaking class. That's my opinion on the words of wisdom. Take a class, learn about this craft. You will sound so much, and then you can throw it all away. You can throw it all away after that. But trust me, you will not sound silly if you know what a tercet is. Take the class and just know what it's about. That's my opinion. That's my word of wisdom. I don't know. Do you have something to add to that, Tony? I just want to hold thing there.
I'm not going to add a lot because I think you said enough about it to carry it. But I'll just go back and just leave it at just take a class for those that may not be, a poet or a writer. that may be listening to us. Take a class on whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're interested in. You know, a lot of people are like, why do I need to take a class? I can just do this or go on YouTube or whatever. But there's something about, you know, the transfer of information for your life. When you know better, you do better. You've heard of that. When you know more about something, you then become better at that topic. So if you wanted to start a business doing anything, take a class that associates with the skill that you need for that business. Actually, you should take an accounting class because that's what you really need. You need to know the numbers, or you can hire an accountant, but it's always good to know the numbers yourself. I took an accounting class, I got a C in it, but you know, that's enough for me to understand the principles so that I can hire an accountant and I know what they need to do, or I can help them out a little bit. But even if you're looking at, you know, doing something like, you know, there's a lot of things that have certificates to it. So to join a certificate program and further your life through education. Education, it can be something that benefits you greatly, immensely. It's a game changer. I just actually I just talked to my boss. This is going to be short, but he was telling me that his daughter, he would bring her to the job every summer, and she would be he actually started an internship at the job with her since she was in 8th grade. And at first she was doing like stuff with the construction, so she would like do submittal logs or whatever. And then one of the summers she transitioned into helping the accounting department. And guess what? She went on to become an accountant. And it was because of that experience. And that is, although that's not a class, but an internship is an opportunity that is offered to students, just like a class is offered to anyone to join. But you gain so much from that experience. So that's the other thing that you gain from taking a class is the experience, also the people that you meet, because there's people that meet in our poetics class and they're friends now. They didn't even know each other. They're in the same country, and they meet up and go to open mics together. And so you never know what a class is going to take you. It's not just about the curriculum, it's everything else too. So take a class.
Take a class and study your craft.
Take a class for that
Stop.
craft. What? Start what?
You know.
Take a class and it will last. I got a lot of words that can rhyme. Okay, I'm a poet.
And you know it, apparently.
And I know it.
So that was our words of wisdom. So now we're up to let's talk about it. And so this is where we talk about the things that are impacting and implying and that are impacting our lives, or things that just on our minds. So I can I go first if that's cool?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go first. So that said, so this is an early announcement, but by the time this launches, I will essentially be trying to make my announcement anyway. Some things have happened over the last few weeks, and I am essentially going to be stepping away from the spoken word scene performatively, at least in person, for a little while, not a long time, just a little while. And I think it's interesting because years ago, so one of the poets that I have loved, adored, followed for years. I watch her on Facebook. I read many of her posts. Some of her posts are like 5 years long. Can't read all the posts because her posts be like, they be long. You think my messages to you are long? Her posts be like, I just can't, like my arm length long, like they be long, right? But anyway, she is one of the original deaf poetry on Broadway poets. And right before the pandemic, probably in 2019, I actually got to hug her. And she's mentioned in one of my poems. And I mean, like, she hugged me. I was like, oh my I was like losing my freaking mind when I got to her. But I've actually met her on more than one occasion. She somehow used to know a mutual friend of mine, or she used to be friends with a friend of mine. So we've been at a barbecue together and stuff. So, and I've been to things that she's been at that were like private readings. And she's actually touched me before, like she's had her hand on my shoulder or whatever. So I've been fangirling over this person for a very long time. And she's one of the reasons like I wanted to be a writer. But anyway, some point at one of the readings I had the pleasure of being at with her, and this is probably like a good decade ago. This is not a recent thing. She was talking about, you know, when deaf poetry on Broadway was happening, having to make hard decisions about where she aligned herself. Did she take the big check from some name brand company? And did that actually counter her, who she stands, what she stands for and what she doesn't stand for? And so she didn't necessarily always make the lucrative choices because it didn't align with her brand. And so that was one of the first conversations I remember overhearing years and years ago when I was first starting out in this poetry thing. I mean, my history in poetry, it goes back a while. I started performing in like 2005, somewhere between 2002 and 2005 is when I first started trying to get on the stage. And then I stepped away right after I injured myself in 2005. And then I popped up again in 2010. And then I stopped and I came back in 15. But she, so somewhere along that path, she was saying that, and I didn't really think about it. And, you know, somebody has labeled me the community poet. And unfortunately, there's someone else out there using that name too. That's okay. He ain't me. That's cool. I'm still going to be the community poet. I have a lot more use of that hashtag. I just want to put it very clear on that at this moment. And I'm trying to bury said individual in my hashtag usage, but that's a whole nother conversation. But so someone seeing what I do, seeing that I often speak to, and this was not a Black person, but somebody seeing what I do on behalf of the Black community, usually, or on behalf of women, oftentimes Black women, speaking on topics as such, labeled me the community poet. And so I didn't want to use that title. That's a big title. That's a big burden to be like, what? This something you was talking about the community? Me? But then it sort of sounded good and it looked good. It felt good. It was like, okay. So I have made choices where I've watched my community step away from certain people. And I have made choices that were money-based. And it wasn't just money-based. I'm gonna be real about that. Some choices I made were about money, but I also made the choices because I have realized as I survey my own writing, most of my writing is, can I live? I don't have to ask Black folk, can I live? I can ask Black men, can I live without you harassing me? And I do have those poems because I am a Me Too survivor, you know. But like most of my poems about living in the Black skin, I don't have to ask Black people that. So most of my writing is really on behalf of Black people, but it's not really for Black people. And so therefore my audience is not Black people in the sense of how I write. And it took me a while to really understand why white people were gravitating to me, because I'm speaking the truth, but also I am speaking to that group to say, this is my life. And Black folks, this is our life. So they don't need this story. They need other stories. They need, you know, whatever. So that said, being in front of mixed audiences, being in front of majority white audiences worked to my benefit, because I get to say to white people and make them uncomfortable about this is what it means to be Black. And I'm very unapologetically Black. If you look at YouTube and watch me right now, my earrings are African print earrings. I have a head wrap on. And if you ever look at any of our materials, I have dreadlocks on. Like, I am very clearly, unapologetically Black woman. There's no question about that if you've never seen what I look like. But I go into those spaces which other people may be intimidated by, and I have no problems being Blackity Black on that stage. I've gone into completely white places and been very Black on stage. And so being in mixed platforms is who my audience is, because I'm trying to say this is what it means, and I need you to hear me so you can help make change in the community so that my life is easier. Or I'm gonna make you uncomfortable in your seat while I explain to you why I'm uncomfortable. So if I'm gonna be uncomfortable, we all gonna be uncomfortable today, right? We all gonna be uncomfortable. Cool. Let's all be uncomfortable right now. So being that type of performer, being in those spaces, it's been fine for me. But having been tied to a specific brand, I've had to be very clear why I was tied to it when I watched the Exodus. I came into this brand not knowing about the Exodus before I joined. I've seen the Exodus happen while I've been there. I've been very clear that the audience that I need to touch, that I need to get to, is in this place. Also, it is a paying thing, but at this point, things have happened that I have seen that I can no longer align myself with. So I will be separating myself from brands at this point because I am the community poet, and at some point, promoters can no longer get money off of me who are doing disservice to my community. If you cannot support truly a Black woman or Black people saying the situation for our people is dire and things are bad, if you cannot use your platform to say my performers are having a problem and we need to amplify that Black Lives Matter, not just by sharing things that they say, but by actually using your own two mouths or your fingers to say it yourself, then you don't really get to make money off of us. You don't get to make money off of us, our network, or any of that. So at this point, the performance that would have happened right before this episode goes live is going to be my last performance publicly for a while until I can find better places in which I am aligned with. Because it's a bad move for my brand to be the community poet and align myself with someone who has no care about my community. So that is what I want to talk about.
Yo, that was a long way of saying what everyone can actually figure out, like, because you've already announced.
But not everybody knows who
doing.
they are. I haven't said their names yet.
But you announced where you're going to be.
No.
Yes, you did.
But like, not everyone has seen that. Like, I've announced it before. Yes, on this episode, on this show, I've said it before.
It's on your Instagram.
It's on my Instagram. That's fine. They'll find
Okay, they
out.
have to put the pieces together. If you feel like being a detective, you can go and look at her pieces. But to what you were saying, I think that's something that is very difficult for people to realize, and I think it's a very professional as well as entrepreneurial. Sometimes you have to make the decisions that that are for the betterment of your brand, and that it doesn't matter if it's. I think there's numerous amount of celebrities that have done it, as well as demonstrations towards these brands that have also spoken. I think actually one of the classic examples is Jay-Z used to always rep not Cavassier. Crap, I just forgot the champagne that he used to, Cristal. And then and so he approached them to try to get them to like basically be a sponsor, but they were like, well, they don't want to associate with rap, or what they don't want. They don't. It's good that he's doing it, but they don't want to associate with it. So that's when he decided to put that down. He even demonstrated in a song and got his own bottle, the Ace of Spades. And it's sometimes you have to make those moves. And I was talking to my daughter about investments and stuff like that the other day, and the biggest rewards come with the biggest risks, no matter what. So by you actually making that decision, you may not see it instantaneous, but it may not be instantaneous. It may not be instant, but you will see a benefit for your brand off of doing that.
Yeah, and I mean, besides that, here's the thing. One, as the community poet, if I'm gonna take that seriously, then I just can't. Like that was I cannot work with someone who sends me into the emotional downward spiral that has been the last week of my life. One, that is not, no, you do not get that. Even though I'm still not recovered, I'm not okay. What you hear or see right now is a lot of show, not in a bad way, but like I'm very honest that I'm not like my best self. And I've been very clear with everybody who needs to be warned about who they're dealing with at this moment based upon the spiral of things that have been happening lately, right?
Mhm.
But two, also like, here's the thing, like you don't get to, I just forgot my thought. I'll be honest. I had this brilliant thought and it was gone.
In
But
the
like,
middle.
I was like, yeah, like you don't get to benefit off of our labor. You don't get to benefit off of our pain. You don't get to be boastful, right? Like, so somebody was telling me, you should tell them why you're stepping away. If they find this episode, they'll know why I stepped away. Oh, you were telling me that.
I was the one. I was
You
about
were
to say,
telling me
you're not
that.
going to talk. You're not going to talk about me in the third person
I
like
forgot.
that. Just like
Yo,
I'm not here.
Tony, I've had a lot of conversations. But like you said it, right? But here's the thing. They will not even get that from me because they do this ego trip every time somebody says something bad about them. And I have watched them do it multiple times on their page where they do like, what was me? Everyone come to defend me. And what, I don't understand why they're upset with me. And they don't even deserve that. They don't deserve that. They deserve nothing. And they deserve nothing because they just don't. And so, but like, here's the thing. And then here's like, so people know I don't want to say what their bad deed was. I got proof and I got people who were like ready to go to war. I'm gonna put it this way. I got people who were like, word, bet, got you. And one of the people who found out about it today was like, you should pull out, you should demand refunds for everybody who paid to see you. And if they don't pay you, we will protest. And they were not joking. They legitly, in the industry, were like, we will be there picket signs protesting if they don't pay us back our money. And what it is that what has happened, generally speaking, is a trauma response for me. They triggered a huge trauma response that like me and my therapist are working through, me and my God are working through, me and my friends are working through. Like everybody has been like, let's hold our heart together right now. let's keep her into one piece. Let's make her, let's keep her fortified. And so it's just like, you just like, I know this person, I know their ego, I know how they move. I've been watching them for too many years to know their MO, to know what their next steps are going to be. So it's not even worth anything. You just walk away and keep moving on with your life. I mean, trust me, this is not going to go as silent as you think it's going to go, but simultaneously.
Hold on. Let's not use this example to talk to the guy.
I'm not riling up nobody. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just saying there's enough people, because here's the thing, there's enough people who know how problematic this person is. So eventually the chickens are going to come home to roost. Whether it's this moment or the next one, the chickens are going to come home to roost really soon, given the problem with this person. You know the problem with this person. We all know the problem with this person. And there's enough people who are like, nah, we good.
Yeah, somebody didn't listen to me when I've been.
Well,
and you and I'm a nice.
I'm the one who warned you about this person. Let's
and I'm nice.
Clear.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
We had a conversation early on.
No, not before. I already peeped it before that.
But we also had a conversation about it. Don't play.
We had a conversation, but I already.
You were on the fence, and then you were on the fence, and I gave you the further background. Let's put it that way.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I was not on the fence. I was done. There was not going to be any pursuit of working with anything.
Anyway,
there was no pursuit.
Either way, I gave you the further background, because what happens is, unfortunately, this is a problem with our community. It's a problem with Black community. And I'm not calling us out in a way anyway, right? But we don't tend to know. We're not as connected. It's the problem with our community, generally speaking, right? We don't know what people don't know. So there's a whole bunch of, I left. I came in when a bunch of people left, and I didn't know people had left. The person who got me into this group was a white friend who said, oh, they're looking for someone. And I said, oh, okay, let me try. So I didn't know about this mass exodus. I came in right after the mass exodus. So I didn't know. And then someone kept saying something around me, but wouldn't say what the deal was until I finally held them down and said, tell me what the deal is. And so that was like still 2 years into this dynamic before I found out. So when people approach me, I'm very honest. I'm very honest about what I know about the past. I'm very honest about what I have experienced. And then I tell them what they get to choose. Because I let people choose their own adventure. I'm not going to tell you not to mess with these people, but I'm also very clear that for my brand as a community poet, as a poet who speaks upon these type of things, it just doesn't work. It doesn't fit. And this is the other thing. That's what I was going to say. This person likes to pretend like they're the best lucrative move out there. I have sat in this chair for 15 minutes and made twice what I've made with this person. So not the most lucrative thing out there. So those other doors open, those other opportunities happen. I don't know what they are next. If you need somebody who is responsible, socially responsible, trying to be the right person, I'm here, find me. But that said, this is what's on my brain right now is figuring out what my next moves are in 2022. But I have this terrific friend. I think his name starts with a T. It may have 2 I's in it. I'm not really sure, but he does his whole like business plan for the next year. I haven't done it yet this year. I sort of failed last year, but I did accomplish a lot of it too when I really think about it. So I think I'm gonna have to like spend the next bit of time of focusing on next year's business plan for self.
Yeah, that starts in December 1st.
Yeah, so I have to start planning out what my next year looks like and looking at what I did and didn't accomplish this year. Because I actually did accomplish a bit of last year. I just didn't necessarily do that well. I didn't do it all, but identifying that and figuring out where is next, what is the next moves, because I'm also like not trying to be in anybody's COVID with Omicron. Yeah, who wants that? Who wants that? I just got the booster, and the booster gave me a headache for 24 to 36 hours.
Yep, you're gonna get another booster.
I don't, but it's not gonna be a booster. It's gonna be like a new vaccine. Like
I'm gonna have 4 more after this.
I'm over it.
And they're gonna make you revaccinate, and then they're gonna. Nope.
I'm over it.
I'm good. I'm good. I got the first strand, the mama bear. So I if the kids come, I'll deal with them when they get there.
Just hope they're not meaner.
But I just want to summarize what you stated, because I know a lot of it was pointed, but I think the takeaways is know what you stand for, and what you don't. Well, knowing what you stand for, you can ideally inevitably know what you don't stand for. But acknowledging what you stand for and being always conscious of what you actually what your brand
yourself
is
with.
Align yourself with, and what your brand is about. I remember when I had open mics, if we had someone that came up, like our thing was be respectful and supportive of all people that come up. And we had people that was from the LGBTQ. We had people that were like from the community in Harlem, and at one particular point when it mixed, at the beginning, like there was some hackles and all of that stuff, and we said that's not what we stand for. If you don't like this environment, then you go. And that was a public statement. Like, we're on the microphone as the host, like, yo, that's not going to happen. And people actually respected that. And they always felt comfortable coming into our environment because we had such a blend of people, and it was all supportive and stuff like that. And that was the stuff that we stood for. So always know what your brand stand for, and make sure that when you're making these decisions to associate with this, because every place has their own brand and caters to their own set of people and own in their own market. So make sure that when you're making that decision, don't let glitter and gold be the deciding factor, but let it be because they align with your values and they stand for the same thing that you stand for, or you can actually get your message out at that platform, um, even if necessarily they don't, but they respect it.
And do your research. Like, ain't nothing new. Ain't nothing new. Ain't nobody new. Even if it's a new
Yeah.
place, right? Like somebody been there before you. Or if you're thinking about trying to feature, you got to be there anyway before you go show up. Like before I showed up to this place as a feature, I still went once. Even though I was booked as a feature, I still went beforehand to know what the event was like. So go ask people, how was this experience? Did you like it? Do you not like it? Because even some of the alliances I have now outside of this one, I already know the downfalls of it because I've spoken to people who've been burnt by it. So I respect those who've been burnt. I now know what to look for. And I'm not trying to go, I'm going to be better. I'm not going to be burnt. I'm going to go, I got you. I understand. Let me see. I at least understand what I'm walking into, and then that way I know to walk or not even walk into it. But you got to know, there's people who've been there before. Find out what you know. The street talks, but we got to talk to our community and find out what it is, because honestly, so many people are tired of people, or so many people have had different experiences. You just got to ask, where do I go to perform? There's going to be 5 people to give you 3 different places or more. So and they will give you, and if you like the person who's giving it to you, then you know that you can trust that person as to where you may want to go next. So do your research. Don't just fall for the okie doke. Don't just follow the money if it's not within your brand, or if the people who are running it don't care about you. So that said,
so now
announcements.
we are going to announce some things.
So that was my announcement. I'm taking a break for a moment.
That was your announcement. That's it.
I mentioned it earlier, and I know this is under Tony's announcements, but I'm going to mention it again because I started talking about it before. As Tony and I are part of Poetics U, is one of the many things that we do together. It's not the only thing, but we also have in the past worked together under our 2 separate brands, 2i Publishing and the Black Authors Collaborative. And between 2i Publishing, Black Authors Collaborative, and Poetics University, we have the pleasure of having Brandon Leak, the season 15 winner of America's Got Talent, will be joining us on December 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Hold
up. December 13th. Okay, go
ahead. December 13th. At 9 p.m. Eastern time. I know it's late here on the East Coast, but he's got a lot of things going on the West Coast. So you just got to work with him. When you get talent like that, lending their skills. So understand who Brandon is. And we see you before to him. But Brandon started a whole movement out there. He's got a clothing line happening right now. I actually just got my shirt. I should have had it. I got a shirt from him this week. He signed it and everything. Oh, wow. It was cool. So I have a signed shirt by Brandon Lee.
I didn't even cop that.
So he does like pop-up Instagram. So you got to see it when it happens, and you can buy it. So Brandon Lee has a clothing line. He started a poetry thing out there. I'm paraphrasing it badly, which is why I'm trying to be vague about it. He is affiliated with a school out in California. He won America's Got Talent. He's done the slam circuit for a little while. He is a dope writer. He's a father of 2, a husband to 1, Christian man, all of that stuff. Like, this man is doing stuff. He's toured nationally and internationally. He has been in this business for a bit now. He has some great wisdom to share with us. And he approached Poetics U, which says he's seen us because we saw him. He's lending his time and craft to share how to monetize our craft. So a lot of poets get into this, and we're not saying you have to monetize, but a lot of poets do this. They want to maybe figure out how to monetize, but they don't know how. That's sort of how Tony and I started this Publish Me thing, because people want to write their own books, but they don't really know how. So we're doing a special Publish Me under all 3 companies, focused on monetizing. Publish Me, monetize. And Brandon Leak will be leading it. It will be interactive. he's creating the whole curriculum. We're just making the space, and we're saving the space for you. It is free 99, free 99, free 99. You can come see him for free 99. You just have to RSVP. You got to RSVP. We're not trying to have no bombers show up and we got to kick them out and do all the mess. So it's not just an open Zoom, because that's just not going to happen. But if you register, and there's two places you can register on Eventbrite. You can register on Tony Inc. website. We'll have it on in our stuff when we post this podcast. Sorry. This is how you know we real people doing this, right? So we will put the links out there for you. The links are already out there. Register, and learn from this master of poetry. He won, y'all. He's doing a poetic residency out in Nevada right now. So it is Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada, right? Is that where Las Vegas is? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I need to go to bed. So you need to come and take this workshop with us. I don't know what he's going to teach, but you best believe I'm going to be there with pen and paper in hand. And the only way to actually get access to the video after the fact is also to have registered. So register so you get the link and you can come see what he teaches us, because he's going to teach us how to monetize our craft. So be in the Zoom on December 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, I'm done. You can do the rest, Tony.
Lots of energy. So that goes along with take a class, what we talked about earlier. So we at 2i Publishing, we have a new book coming out by our dear friend Nora Oz, who is publishing a book called Butterfly Speaks.
I have read it beforehand. I don't know what the changes are, but I read it early and it is dope. So I'm gonna need you to go get the book, because it is a really good book and Nora is an amazing poet. So Butterfly Speaks, I already pre-ordered it. So I'm gonna need you to go get the book too. And so we can all celebrate Butterfly Speaks, because it's gonna be dope. I'm sorry, continue, Tony.
Well, she said it. Go do that. And we also have a event coming up in the future, BYOBB. That some of you may, if you know 2i Publishing, then you have for at least a year, then you know that we do an event for self-published authors as well as our own, that is basically like a book club, boozy book club, if you want to say, where we get the author as well as readers on the same platform in a Zoom online. And it's also sponsored by a wine, a blue wine. 2i Publishing loves the color blue, so that's our signature color. But we also got a brand that follows or aligns with that called Amor Genève, and they have created the world's first blue, naturally created blue wine. So look out for that. That's going to be coming up in the new year. We have a lot of things planned for 2022, but just plug in to Poetics University, 2i Publishing. You can follow me as well and I'll be posting things about all of that, as well as Dara. And we have also 2i Publishing just launched unofficially, but you will be one of the first people to know about it publicly, I guess. A new part of our company called Simple, and that helps. And that helps. That helps you create a book without having the attachment to the publishing, to becoming like part of the publishing company, where basically we act as a consultant for you, where you can get professional quality services as if you were part of our, we would dedicate the same energy towards your book as we would our own. But after we're done, you walk away, you have a nice book, and you can go on and sell 1 million copies if you want to. And you don't have any attachment to us. And that's our way of getting people that may not understand or may not want to do the traditional route, and may want to, but still want to get their words in a bounded form. So please do.
If you see my book Still Laughing, It only like, so I had a different artist named Antonio Clark who did the artwork, the cartoon look of me. But 2i Publishing, I was the completely unofficial first patron of Simple, where the book cover would not look nearly as amazing if 2i Publishing had not stepped in and actually made it look what it does. It would, if it was left to my devices, it would not look anything like it does. They make the work look, they put the work together, or we, because I'm part of Simple. um, I gotta put that together. We at Simple make the work easier for you. So you give us what you don't want to do, and we will help get the rest of the book together. But it's yours. You have all rights. You proceed how you need to. We will just help you through the process.
So do check us out at 2i Publishing for more information about that. So let's see. The next, I think that's it for the announcement. So the next thing is top of the dome, top of the dome,
Top of the dome.
top of the dome,
Top of the dome.
top of the dome.
Dome. I think your sound went out because you were too high.
Oh wow, they can't pick up on that octave. Oh
No,
man.
apparently you hit an octave that only dogs could hear, sir.
So this is the portion of the episode where we take 5 random words from today's podcast. What happened?
I'm looking at the words. They're so random.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so 5 random words from today's podcast. And also the word of the episode, which is commensurate. And we then spit a poem impromptu off of the dome at the top of from the top of the dome. Sorry, the top of the dome. I was about to go into the singing again. Okay, so the top of the dome. Okay, so we have our words. It came from today's episode, and they are
commensurate,
interweave,
enslaved,
planning,
bats.
intertwine.
So apparently we're going to make some interesting words today. We're going to make some interesting poetry today.
Yeah.
You somehow, there's only one way this poem can go. I'm just going to put it out there.
No, it's not. There's multiple ways that this poem can go. Who's first?
I did the first thing. It's your turn. Yes, it's you. You're first.
Let my words commensurate to the passion that I give into this life that I live. Let my heart interweave in the crevices of the emptiness that I feel at times when pain is overbearing. Let it be braided with hope, underbraided and spiraled with commitment and affection. Let my words be protection when I can't seem to protect myself. Let these poems hide and be the key to unchain me as I'm enslaved to a thing called change. Change being something that at times I regret, but also the thing that allows me and lets me get higher, fly higher, be higher than the sun-kissing sky. Let me try planning every single one of my words in a way that can let you understand that I am not bird, nor plane, nor balloon, nor helium. I am just me. And that is that. Because if bats can be named after poets, then I can change into something that I would have never known was possible. See, I want to make my energy go into something that creates synergy between people that love and hate me. I want to intertwine their minds to really see what really lies behind these two eyelids. Let them see me and see who I was, who I am, and who I will be, and let them all smile.
Knowing you makes me feel like there are bats in my belfry. You make me feel very crazy because I seem to be enslaved by these feelings that make me just so needy. My mind feels intertwined with desires that I didn't know that I had or needed, or desires that just make me call for you. You who I didn't know I should know that I always seemed to knew back then. You who didn't come out of the blue, but were always there, always true. I mean, I just didn't know that it could have been you. Could it be you? Oh man, what do I do? And are these feelings commiserate with what you feel too? Could we one day maybe be interweaved? Have our lives always been planned to intertwine? And back, if we go back and rewind, would we be together? Or was that just me planning badly when I think of the ways in which our lives have been tethered? I'm not really sure what to make of this path and poem that you've inspired in me, but I swear there really are bats in my belfry because I am just filled with a desire that has been lit by a fire, and a desire that just doesn't seem to expire now that you are back and my eyes line of fire. So, what is it that you desire?
Snap, 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 snap. Okay. like the tone of that.
I told you, to me, there was like no other way to go. I was like, where do we go? And I mean, like, if there wasn't company around, it probably would have gotten worse than where it did.
I know. Mm-hmm.
So I had to like keep it a little mellow. But you said but this is also because you wanted to hear love come from me. So that was
that was the love.
That was the inspiration of whatever you want to make
love.
Of that.
Oh man. Okay, well, thank all of you for listening to our crazy selves and all of the things that we have created on this episode of your favorite podcast, Word2Wordz. And I say your favorite podcast, and that means if you're a poet. Now, if you're not a poet, it's still your favorite podcast.
Because you just love us because we're pretty cool. Exactly. You want to hang out with us. Just admit it. You want to hang out with us because I want to hang out with us. You want to hang out with us too, right, Tony? Because we just that cool. So there you go.
With a mask. With a mask. And a vaccination card.
Please. And not just the card, but actually like signed by a professional of information of when you got it done.
You can use fake cards with me, okay?
And I can't hang out with you anymore, Tony, either. But anyway, continue.
So the theme song was brought to you by the skill of Eric Ty Sky, the DJ White. Huh. I just love saying his name. Yo, thank you for that. The tunes, the beat, the melody, the vibes, it just makes, I love it every time I hear it at the beginning. Hopefully you do too, out there, listeners. You know, it's a vibe. I hope it gets you in the mood for hearing words that leads to other words, that leads to other words. But with that being said, I am your host, Tony Two Eyes.
And I am Dara Kalima, the community poet.
If you want to share anything with us, you want to participate, you want to engage with us, please reach out to us by submitting words for the episode, the let's talk about it topics. Let's talk about it. Whatever you want to talk about, we'll bring it up and we'll discuss it. And also a poet highlight. If you have a person that you want us to highlight, and he's out there doing the daggone thing, as Dara says, that, or she is out there doing
Or
the
they,
daggone
because
thing, or they, or never mind. If they're out there doing it, then let us know. We will look them up, find some things to say about them, and we will give them their flowers while they are here and alive, and doing the thing for poets all around the globe. So until next time, take a class.
Seriously, please take a class. Study your
And
craft.
also know what you stand for.
There you go. Take a class, study your craft, and know what you stand for. And we'll speak to you next month.